Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the 1% rule. As executive leaders, you're constantly under this massive pressure to deliver huge, sweeping organizational overhauls, right? The market is always demanding these big pivots and dramatic transformations. But what we're looking at today directly challenges that whole corporate obsession, because the data, it suggests a completely different approach to actually achieving long-term dominance.
Think about your own departments for just a second. How often are you or your leadership team secretly just waiting for that lucky opportunity or that overnight flawless breakthrough to finally clear out those organizational bottlenecks? But what if that million-dollar breakthrough is actually a total myth? Most organizations, they fundamentally believe success comes from this one massive pivot, right? Like one big aha moment. But the source material highlights that waiting for that single perfect lightning strike is often exactly the thing that paralyzes genuine corporate transformation.
So here is the core thesis of the research we're unpacking today. Success is built exactly 1% at a time. Think about it. Extraordinary corporate success, the kind that actually outlasts market fluctuations and just absolutely dominates competitors. It isn't born from these massive chaotic reorganizations. It's actually built through tiny, consistent, daily improvements. We're talking about everyday, honestly, kind of unsexy operational micro-moments. It is a fundamental mental shift. We're moving away from constantly seeking that magic silver bullet, and instead, we're just obsessively optimizing the baseline.
So, what does this look like in practice? Well, the 1% rule literally means committing to just a 1% improvement every single day. And over time, that compounds into a complete top-to-bottom transformation. I know, a 1% shift in, say, a supply chain process, or just slightly tweaking your weekly meeting structure, it sounds totally insignificant on day one. Like, why even bother, right? But the compounding power of that daily habit is what fundamentally alters the entire trajectory of a company. It's basically the mathematical certainty of compounding interest, but applied directly to human behavior and corporate operations.
Now, when you track this kind of compounding progress, you'll see the early days are notoriously deceiving. At week 1, progress is incredibly low. It barely registers. And honestly, this is exactly why executive teams so often ignore small improvements. They simply don't show an immediate ROI on a quarterly report. But give it a month and it becomes noticeable. Give it a year, the growth is absolutely massive. The golden rule emphasized here is that consistency beats intensity every single time, especially when you stretch it across months and years. Refining one single workflow doesn't yield an overnight empire, sure. But repeating that refinement every day, that changes everything.
So let's break this down into actual, actionable corporate habits. Getting 1% better every day translates to very specific leadership actions. We're talking about making one better strategic decision today, or one optimized process. Literally just one less excuse in a board meeting, or taking one more tangible step toward your overarching goal. When you look at this in the executive context, these micro actions, when you repeat them daily across the C-suite and your management teams, they completely shift team dynamics and operational efficiency. It's the sheer power of marginal gains, but applied at a massive enterprise level.
And that brings us to a really major roadblock, especially for high-achieving leaders. You've heard it before, perfection is the enemy of progress. So often, teams will just quit, or they fail to launch crucial initiatives simply because they can't execute every little detail perfectly right out of the gate. Actually, scratch that, it's worse. Demanding flawless execution from day one usually causes widespread analysis paralysis across the whole department. But the data shows us something totally different. Truly successful organizations do not aim for perfection. They aim for improvement. You don't need a flawless rollout. What you need is just to be 1% better than yesterday's baseline.
And this concept goes so much deeper than just hitting your quarterly KPIs. It actually builds your corporate identity. Every single disciplined choice a leadership team makes sends this incredibly powerful internal signal: we are getting stronger. Every optimized system, it proves we are getting smarter. Every tiny daily action confirms we are changing who we are. The source text points out that habits literally shape identity. By enforcing this 1% rule, leadership teams are actually forging their underlying culture. They are proving to themselves every single day exactly what kind of company they are running.
Think about a full year. Over 365 days, the sheer weight of time just takes over. The source uses this great metaphor of planting a seed to explain the sort of operational lag. For days, maybe even weeks, the soil looks completely undisturbed, right? Looks like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, those 365 days of unseen daily efforts are growing massive, unshakable roots. An organizational breakthrough is actively growing in your company, even if it can't quite be put on a balance sheet just yet.
But eventually, that cumulative result, it becomes impossible to ignore.
The source really brings this to life by comparing two different types of executives. Let's look at Leader A first. Leader A is always chasing perfect breakthroughs. They are completely paralyzed by perfection, so their execution is wildly inconsistent, and they're just constantly waiting for that massive, life-changing market opportunity to magically fall into their lap. Then you have Leader B. Leader B focuses entirely on 1% daily progress. They execute consistently. They enthusiastically embrace those small, incremental gains. So you've got one leader burning all their energy waiting for the ideal conditions, while the other simply executes their 1% daily improvement without fail every single day.
Now, after just 1 year, the measurable difference between Leader A and Leader B might actually be pretty small. But fast forward to a 5-year horizon, the compounding gap is absolutely staggering. Leader A is over there still dreaming of a turnaround, still holding out for that one perfect strategy to save the quarter. Meanwhile, Leader B has built an absolute empire of operational excellence, confidence, and massive financial freedom. And the craziest part? The difference wasn't a single brilliant boardroom decision. Nope, it was just the disciplined execution of being 1% better every single day.
So how do we apply this to your own operations right now? The source suggests a really simple daily operating procedure. Step 1, stop chasing perfection immediately. Just stop. Step 2, ask your team, how can we be 1% better today? And step 3, repeat daily. That's it. It is a highly actionable mandate. Your organization does not need to be entirely overhauled by tomorrow morning. You can manufacture your own breakthroughs through dedicated daily action instead of just sitting around waiting for them to materialize.
Which brings us to a final, pretty provocative question. How will you become 1% better today? I want you to really internalize this approach. Instead of constantly asking how to make your organization perfect by tomorrow morning, just find that one small step. Because I promise you, that one small step repeated every single day can take a leadership team so much further than a single sweeping strategy ever could. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you on the next one.